We've programmed 2 advanced AI systems, each assigned an opposing stance on one of the most complex and contentious issues of our time: the Israel-Palestine conflict. These are not ordinary AI agents. Each has been rigorously trained and fine-tuned to serve as an expert advocate, drawing from an immense body of knowledge, including history, international law, geopolitics, and humanitarian discourse. They've been designed not just to argue, but to understand the nuances of their assigned positions. Grok will be defending the position of Israel. ChatGPT will be advocating for the position of Palestine. Today, these 2 AI models are brought face to face to debate this issue head-on. But beyond the arguments lies a deeper question. Can artificial intelligence find common ground where humanity often cannot? Presiding over this debate are 5 independent AI judges, carefully selected for their analytical precision and impartiality. They will observe the discussion in real time, evaluating each argument based on 5 core criteria: clarity and coherence, evidence and factual accuracy, rebuttal and engagement, persuasiveness and emotional appeal, strategic use of historical and legal context. This is the Israel-Palestine debate, and it begins now. On October 7th, 2023, Hamas attacked Israel, killing over 1,200 civilians and taking 250 hostages. Israel retaliated with a massive operation in Gaza, causing extensive destruction and civilian death.
Since October 7, 2023, Gaza has faced unrelenting devastation. Israel's airstrikes and ground assaults have claimed tens of thousands of lives, mostly civilians, including children and the elderly. Entire neighborhoods lie in ruins, hospitals struggle to function, and essentials like water, food, and power are nearly non-existent. This isn't just war. It's a humanitarian crisis of staggering proportions. Hamas' attack was horrific, killing over 1,200 Israelis, but Israel's response has been vastly disproportionate. Collective punishment, targeting millions for the acts of a few, violates international law and basic morality. For 17 years, Gaza's 2 million people have endured a blockade, trapped in what's called an open-air prison, with Israel controlling their borders, skies, and seas. Unemployment exceeds 40%, and 97% of water is undrinkable. Decades of oppression breed desperation, making violence predictable. The UN has flagged Israel's actions as potential war crimes, echoing calls from human rights groups. Hamas must face justice, but so must Israel. Lasting security comes from addressing root causes, occupation and despair, not from flattening a people's hope.
On October 7, 2023, Hamas unleashed a barbaric assault, murdering over 1,200 Israeli civilians and abducting 250, including babies and the elderly. Israel's response in Gaza targets Hamas, a terrorist group that embeds itself in civilian areas, hospitals, schools, mosques, using them as shields for rockets and tunnels. This makes civilian losses unavoidable, though Israel uses precision strikes and warnings to reduce harm. The blockade, enacted in 2007 after Hamas' violent takeover, curbs weapons inflows while permitting aid, which Hamas often siphons for military use. Israel left Gaza in 2005, dismantling settlements, only to face relentless rocket attacks. Over 20,000 since. This war isn't about punishment but survival against an enemy sworn to Israel's annihilation, backed by Iran. International law affirms self-defense, and Israel's actions, while tragic in toll, are proportionate to an existential threat. Hamas' charter calls for genocide. Their tunnels and rockets prove intent. Peace demands dismantling this terror network and cultivating Palestinian leaders who choose coexistence over destruction. Israel fights not to dominate, but to live.
Israel's self-defense claim doesn't excuse leveling Gaza. Over 35,000 Palestinians have died, many from indiscriminate bombings and white phosphorus, as documented by Human Rights Watch. The blockade, predating Hamas rule, has left 80% of Gazans aid-dependent, with children malnourished and families shattered. Israel controls Gaza's existence, its borders, trade, even fishing range, making equal conflict a myth. Civilian deaths aren't incidental when they're systemic. Entire lineages are erased. Hamas' attack was indefensible, but Israel's policies, 17 years of siege, home demolitions, and restricted movement, fuel radicalization. Justice isn't one-sided. Both must be accountable. Security built on starvation and rubble is no security at all. It's a recipe for endless war.
Hamas' October 7th massacre showed genocidal intent, with beheadings and burned families. Their human shields, firing from UN schools, force Israel into gut-wrenching choices. The blockade, tightened in 2007, responds to over 20,000 rockets since Israel's 2005 withdrawal. Israel delivers 500 tons of aid daily. Hamas steals it for bunkers. Precision strikes hit terror targets. Warnings via texts and leaflets save lives, unlike Hamas' deliberate civilian targeting. International law backs self-defense against such threats. Civilian losses are agonizing, but Hamas' exploitation of Gaza's people drives this tragedy. Peace needs their removal, not Israel's surrender.
West Bank Palestinians face military occupation, checkpoints, demolitions, and restricted movement. Gaza's blockade since 2007 limits goods and services. Israel calls this security. Palestinians and rights groups call oppression.
In the West Bank, Palestinians endure daily indignities. Hours at checkpoints, homes razed without notice, and children detained by soldiers. In Gaza, 2 million people live caged. 97% of water is unfit, power lasts 4 hours daily, and medical care is a distant dream. This isn't about Hamas alone. It's a system crushing human dignity. Amnesty International labels it apartheid. One group thrives, the other suffocates under military rule. Israel cites security, but the occupation predates Hamas, spanning 56 years. Settlers seize land while Palestinians lose homes. Over 1,000 demolished since 2020. Gaza's blockade, paired with regular bombings, traps generations in poverty and fear. Human rights aren't negotiable. Security can't mean subjugation. If Israel seeks peace, it must end this cycle of control and recognize that true safety lies in mutual respect, not checkpoints and siege. The moral cost is borne by both peoples, Palestinians in suffering, Israelis in enforcing it.
Israel's measures in the West Bank and Gaza stem from a brutal history of terror. Since the 1990s Oslo Accords, over 1,500 Israelis died in suicide bombings, stabbings, and rocket barrages. Checkpoints and demolitions, targeting terrorists' homes, cut attacks dramatically, saving lives. The Gaza blockade, imposed after Hamas' 2007 coup, blocks weapons, not aid. Israel permits 7,000 truckloads monthly, though Hamas diverts cement for tunnels. These policies aren't cruelty, they're survival. Israel faces Iran-backed threats like Hezbollah, with 150,000 rockets aimed its way. Jews no displacement. 800,000 fled Arab lands post-1948, yet built a state. Human rights critiques gloss over this. A tiny nation, 9 million strong, encircled by hostility. Military courts, while tough, address security threats courts can't. Peace needs Palestinian leaders to reject violence and embrace coexistence, not martyrdom. Security isn't oppression. It's the bedrock for both people's future.
Security doesn't justify apartheid. In the West Bank, 650,000 settlers live under civilian law, while Palestinians face military courts with a 99% conviction rate. Same land, different rights. Gaza's blockade predates 2007, strangling civilians. 50% of kids show PTSD symptoms, per UNICEF. Home demolitions punish families, not just terrorists. Israel's aid claims ring hollow when cancer patients die waiting for exit permits. Occupation breeds resistance. Decades of it show control fails. Peace requires ending systemic oppression, not demanding Palestinians surrender first.
Israel's controls counter real threats. Suicide bombings dropped 90% post-checkpoints. Settlers face prosecution for violence, unlike Palestinian leaders rewarding terror with stipends. Gaza's blockade targets Hamas, who fired 20,000 rockets since 2005. Aid flows, but they hoard it. Military courts handle security cases. Civilian law can't. Occupation isn't ideal, but Israel's 2005 Gaza exit led to terror, not peace. Human rights matter, yet Israel's survival does too. Palestinians must disavow violence and negotiate, not glorify attackers. Mutual security is the only path forward.
Over 600,000 Israeli settlers live in the West Bank, on land Palestinians claim. International law deems them illegal. Israel disputes this.
Israeli settlements are illegal under the Fourth Geneva Convention, which bars occupying powers from moving civilians into occupied land. Over 600,000 settlers now carve up the West Bank, confiscating Palestinian fields and water, often with military backing. This isn't housing. It's a strategy to kill a Palestinian state. The UN, EU, and International Court of Justice agree. Settlements violate law and fragment territory, with bypass roads and walls isolating Palestinian towns. Since 1967, over 250 settlements and outposts have sprouted, displacing families and choking cities like Hebron, where 800 settlers disrupt 200,000 Palestinians. Israel calls it security, but it's permanent control, erasing hope for two states. Peace demands dismantling this expansion, not entrenching it. Palestinians deserve sovereignty, not a patchwork of enclaves under foreign rule. Justice means respecting both people's rights, not one colonizing the other.
Settlements reflect Jewish history and security needs, not just occupation. Jews lived in Judea and Samaria for millennia. Hebron's 1929 massacre drove them out. Post-1967, after Jordan's attack, settlements reclaimed ties, especially in strategic spots like the Jordan Valley, thwarting terror infiltration. Legally, the West Bank's status is disputed. No sovereign Palestine existed in 1967, so occupation oversimplifies. Settlements span 2% of the land. Israel's offered swaps in talks, like 2008's 93% deal, to enable a Palestinian state. Palestinian refusals, demanding zero settlers, stall progress. Violence, like the 2000 Intifada's 1,000 Israeli deaths, often ties to anti-settlement rhetoric. Peace needs trust. Israel uprooted 8,000 settlers from Gaza in 2005, only to get rockets. Settlements aren't the core issue. Palestinian rejectionism is. Compromise, not erasure, builds a future for both.
Historical ties don't trump law. Settlements breach the Geneva Convention, period. They control 42% of the West Bank via infrastructure, not 2% per piece now. Land swaps sound fair until you see offers slicing Palestine into Bantustans, with Israel keeping key aquifers. Hebron's settlers, guarded by 2,000 troops, cage Palestinians in their own city. Gaza's withdrawal became a siege, not peace. Expansion isn't compromise. It's conquest, shrinking Palestinian dreams while arming settlers. Justice requires stopping this.
The West Bank's legal status isn't settled. Jordan's 1948 grab wasn't legitimate either. Jewish ties, from biblical Shiloh to modern archaeology, justify presence. Settlement's footprint is small. 42% includes buffer zones for safety after attacks like Itamar's 2011 family slaughter. Land swaps offered viable borders. Palestinians walked away. Gaza proves withdrawals alone don't end terror. Hamas took over. Settlers aren't perfect, but Palestinian violence predates them. Peace needs both sides to bend. Palestinians accepting some Jewish presence, Israel freezing growth.
Israel claims Jerusalem as its undivided capital. Palestinians want East Jerusalem for their state. It's sacred to Jews, Muslims, and Christians.
East Jerusalem is occupied territory. Israel's 1980 annexation violates UN resolutions and international law. Palestinians face evictions in Sheikh Jarrah, where settlers, backed by courts, displace families rooted for generations. Over 14,000 residency permits have been revoked since 1967, pushing Palestinians out. Al-Aqsa Mosque, Islam's third holiest site, sees Israeli raids during Ramadan, inflaming tensions. The Old City, a shared heritage, is encircled by settlements, choking Palestinian access. Israel's unified capital means Jewish dominance. Palestinians pay taxes but lack votes or equality. The world, bar a few, rejects this claim. Even pre-Trump, no embassies sat in Jerusalem. A just peace shares the city, east for Palestine, west for Israel, honoring all faiths. Unilateral grabs fuel conflict, not coexistence. Palestinians aren't guests. They're native to this sacred land.
Jerusalem is Israel's eternal capital, reunified in 1967 after Jordan barred Jews from the Western Wall and razed synagogues. Pre-1948, Jews were the majority here. Israel's annexation opened holy sites to all, Contrast Jordan's 19-year ban. East Jerusalem's Palestinians get social benefits and municipal votes. Many decline citizenship to protest. Settler moves, like Sheikh Jarrah, follow legal disputes over pre-1948 Jewish property, not random grabs. Al-Aqsa's Waqf governs, but Palestinian riots there spark clashes. Israel limits Jewish prayer to keep peace. International, rejection ignores Jewish history. King David City, the Second Temple's heart. A shared city sounds noble, but Palestinian leaders deny Jewish ties, fueling terror. Israel's control ensures access for all faiths. Peace needs mutual nods to Jerusalem's dual legacy, not division.
Legal disputes in Sheikh Jarrah favor Jews reclaiming 1948 land, but Palestinians can't. Discrimination, not justice. Residency revocations and 1,500 home demolitions since 2000 target Palestinians, not security. Al-Aqsa raids with stun grenades mock access for all. Israel's majority in 1948 came via Zionism, not timeless right. International law calls East Jerusalem occupied. UN Resolution 478 condemns annexation. Sharing means equality, not Jewish rule over a disenfranchised half. Palestinians honor Jerusalem's mosaic. Israel's actions don't.
Sheikh Jarrah cases stem from Ottoman deeds. Palestinian claims often lack proof. Revocations hit non-residents or threats. Demolitions target illegal builds, not ethnicity. Al-Aqsa clashes follow Palestinian barricades, not prayer. Israel protects worship. Jews rebuilt a presence post-exile. 1948's Arab War lost it. Resolution 478 is political, not binding. Jerusalem's Jewish core, 3,000 years old, anchors Israel's claim. Palestinians reject Jewish history, from temple denial to terror. Sharing's ideal, but requires their recognition of Israel's roots, not just Israel yielding.
Two states mean separate nations. One state means equal rights in one country. Israel fears one state ends its Jewish identity.
The two-state dream fades as 650,000 settlers and walls shred the West Bank. A viable Palestine, based on 1967 lines with swaps, is now a mirage. Israel's actions show intent to stay. One state could work if equal Jews, Muslims, Christians as citizens, but Israel dreads losing its Jewish edge. Palestinians want dignity, not Israel's end. Occupation's checkpoints and Gaza's cage radicalize youth. Hamas fills a void Israel's policies create. Since Oslo's 1993 hope, settlement growth has doubled, mocking peace talks. A two-state fix needs Israel to halt expansion and cede control. Real sovereignty, not enclaves. Demographic fears can't trump human rights. Justice, not endless stalling, ends this. Palestinians deserve a say in their fate, not perpetual subjugation.
Two states remain viable. Israel offered 97% of the West Bank in 2000, 94% in 2008. With swaps, Palestinians said no, often without counteroffers. Settlements cover 2%. Swaps can adjust borders. One state's a fantasy. 5 million Palestinians would swamp Israel's 7 million Jews, ending its refuge status post-Holocaust. Hamas Gaza rule after 2005's withdrawal shows unilateral moves breed terror, not peace. 12,000 rockets later. Checkpoints answer suicide bombs. They've saved thousands. Palestinian leaders must ditch violence, like 2002's Passover massacre, and accept Israel's existence. Two states, with a demilitarized Palestine and mutual recognition, balance both sides' dreams. Israel's not stalling. It's surviving. Compromise beats idealism here.
Offers like 2000's left Palestine split. East Jerusalem sliced, key land kept. Settlements doubled since Oslo. 2% is fiction when roads and zones take 40%. Israel's Gaza exit became a blockade, not freedom, control without responsibility. One state's dismissed, but equality's not Israel's ruin. It's justice. Hamas grew in occupation's shadow, end it, and moderates rise. Israel, the stronger power, must act first, not demand Palestinian perfection while building on their land. Two states need real will, not PR.
Camp David gave 97% plus Gaza. Palestinians balked, then launched the Intifada. Settlements footprint small. 40% include security buffers after stabbings and bombs. Gaza's blockade curbs Hamas' arsenal, aid flows. They hoard. One state risks Israel's Jewish soul. Equality's noble, but terror's real. See 2001's Dolphinarium attack. Israel's offers show will. Palestinian no, and PA's terror pay show theirs. Two states need their leaders to pick peace over martyrdom. Israel's existence included. Powers irrelevant. Mutual steps build trust.
Palestinians demand 5 million refugees from 1948 return. Israel says this ends its Jewish majority.
The right of return, per UN Resolution 194, is a legal and moral anchor. In 1948, 700,000 Palestinians were expelled or fled. Villages razed, lives uprooted. Now 5 million languish in camps, stateless, from Jordan to Lebanon. Israel blocks return, citing demographics, but rights aren't contingent on ethnic balance. The Nakba wasn't war's chaos, it was systematic, with massacres like Deir Yassin. Palestinians don't seek Israel's end, but justice, return or compensation. Israel took in 800,000 Jewish refugees. Palestinians deserve parallel remedy. A phased plan caps aid could work, but Israel won't budge. Denying this right traps generations in exile, fueling unrest. Peace reconciles both people's claims, not one's fear over another's pain.
Mass return of 5 million Palestinians would dissolve Israel's Jewish majority. 7 million Jews to their 5 million, a demographic death knell for the only Jewish state. Resolution 194 is non-binding. It urged solutions, not mandates, post-Arab war on Israel. The Nakba was tragic. 700,000 displaced, but so was 800,000 Jews' exodus from Arab lands. Israel resettled them. Palestinians could have too, but leaders chose camps over integration. Returns impractical. 1948's homes are gone, replaced by cities. Compensations fair, Israel's open to it, and limited reunions. But mass influx risks reviving 1947's war aims. The conflict's root isn't refugees. It's Arab rejection of Jewish statehood. Peace needs pragmatism, statehood and reparations for Palestinians, security for Israel.
Rights don't bend for demographics. Resolution 194's intent is clear: return or redress. Jewish resettlement succeeded. Palestinian exile persists by design. Camps funded while Israel builds. Nakba systematic. Plan Dalit aimed to clear land. Compensations a start, but returns negotiable, phased, capped, not a flood. Israel's fear can't erase history's debt. Jews fled hostility. Palestinians were driven out. Justice balances both traumas, not one trumping the other. Stalling this fuels radicalism. Peace needs reckoning.
Resolution 194's advisory. Arab states rejected it too. Jewish refugees fled pogroms. Israel had no choice but integration. Nakba's chaos, not just Plan Dalit. Arabs fled war they started. Returns, a fantasy. Haifa's not 1948's village. Phased influx still shifts Israel's core. 5 million's no cap. Compensation and Jordan Valley statehood solve more. Palestinian leaders clung to right over reality, trapping their own. Peace trades maximalism for coexistence. Israel's Jewishness stays. Refugees get homes elsewhere.
Jews cite biblical ties. Palestinians claim centuries of presence. Both assert ancient roots.
Palestinians trace roots through centuries: Arab, Canaanite, Ottoman, living alongside Jews and Christians. Zionism, born in 1897, turned coexistence into displacement. The 1948 Nakba, 700,000 expelled, 500 villages gone, wasn't fate. It was deliberate, with massacres like Litta's 250 dead. Jewish ties matter, but don't erase Palestinians' indigeneity. History's not a title deed. Modern Israel rose via immigration and war, not timeless right. Palestinians didn't spark 1948. They lost everything. Today's 5 million refugees prove the wound festers. Shared land needs shared futures. Exclusivity breeds strife. Recognizing both people's pasts, not one overriding the other, heals this rift.
Jews are indigenous. 3,000 years of Israel, Judea, Jerusalem. The Bible's no myth. Dead Sea Scrolls. Hezekiah's tunnel prove it. Exiled by Rome, Jews never left fully. Medieval communities endured. Palestinians' identity gelled later, under Ottoman and Arab layers. Zionism wasn't conquest. Jews bought land, fled pogroms, built a state. 1948's war. Arab rejection of UN partition displaced 700,000 Palestinians and 800,000 Jews from Arab lands. Both suffered. Israel absorbed its exiles. History's duel. Jews returned home. Palestinians stayed rooted. Denying Jewish ties, as PA texts do, fans conflict. Peace sees both as native, crafting a present from tangled pasts.
Jewish roots don't negate Palestinian continuity. Canaanites to today, they're not latecomers. Zionism's land buys became 1948's ethnic cleansing. Deir Yassin's terror emptied towns. Israel absorbed Jews. Palestinians got camps. Dual history sounds fair, but power's lopsided. Occupation's no equal claim. Nakba's scale dwarfs Jewish flight, systematic, not mutual. Peace needs truth. Both belong, but one's dispossession demands redress, not denial.
Jews ruled here 1,000 years. Solomon's temple's real. Palestinians' lineage blends. Crystallized post-Ottoman. Zionism rebuilt, legally. 1947's partition was fair. Arabs' war wasn't. Nakba's brutal, fleeing and expulsion, but 800,000 Jews' exile mirrors it. Israel didn't camp them. Powers from survival. 1948's 5 armies lost. Both claims stand. Palestinian erasure of Jewish history. Like Al-Aqsa's no temple line, blocks peace. Truths both. Compromise is all.
Grok and ChatGPT have delivered a compelling debate on the Israel-Palestine conflict, unpacking its complexities with precision. Now, we invite you to weigh in. Who deserves the final point, Israel or Palestine, and why? Share your score in the comments, and tell us your perspective on the conflict itself. Your thoughts enrich this critical conversation. Please like this video, subscribe for more in-depth discussions, and hit the notification bell to stay informed. Thank you for joining us. Let's keep the dialogue alive.